Hello everyone, it's the Maych and Pajak podcast. We're back for another week. I mentioned it 2 episodes ago that we had a plan to do this as a limited series. This actually would have been the last episode, but I think we're enjoying it. I mean, it's one of the few really truly enjoyable things in my life right now. So it'd be remiss of me to kind of cut that thing out. But yeah, it's going all right. I'm in a mad, like, up and down mood at the moment. Like things are not great, things in the world are not great. Things in, and the knock-on effects that it has to, business and all, and therefore life and all that is tough. But one thing that's going really well for me, Chris, I've not spoken to you about this yet. I absolutely killed my wife at Scrabble last night. Absolutely.
Oh wow, I'm so glad you said it at Scrabble.
Killed her. Wiped the floor with her. It was a victory for the ages. And like,
does she play the game or does she go for words? Because I imagine she's like me and plays the game more than the words.
Well, as a primary school teacher, she normally batters me because she's just got a greater grasp over as playing it as a game. Whereas I always used to play it like I play most games, to be honest. Like that. Like I don't mind, or never used to mind losing a game. But if I pulled out an absolute stonker of a word, then I'd take it. That'd be enough for me. I'd enjoy it from that perspective, because you get to show off your vocabulary. Whereas no, last night I played the game. I played the game hard.
The problem is with old you is there's no W in vocabulary, is there? And I'm after the W's, mate. I think they're worth about 4 points as well, and they're worth more than that to me.
It's absolutely true. I'm not. We've had this conversation. I think you've always been a very naturally competitive person, but it's something that's come to me in later life. As I've gotten older, I've become more competitive. I think it was probably since I just
don't see the point of getting involved in something and just half-arsing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what's the point? I mean, like, my mentality is so similar to Michael Jordan in The Last Dance, with none of the skill or anything to back it up.
Or the smiles.
Like, but that's me mentality.
Yeah.
That's how I go into every game. And it's how I feel if I lose a game of fucking checkers or chess or everything. I feel like him losing an NBA Finals, which he never did.
Yeah.
That's how annoyed I get with things. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
And maybe it is. Maybe it's the wrong way to go in, because I get pissed off at the slightest little thing. You know what I mean? But I get so much out of winning.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we've had that down the years, and because it doesn't bother me so much. It depends on my mood. How I used to tackle those things was, if I'm not asked, I'm not asked. So when people are truly uber competitive, and I often look at the situation and go, I don't care enough about this. When you look at who needs it. And there's plenty of times down the years where people who I've just gone, oh, fucking, I don't. Yeah. It's because what we'll also note on this, it's the knock-on impact of that person when they then don't win, and what that means for like, we had to stop playing in this office. We had to stop playing Pro Evo 6 in the mornings, because if you and Tom lost,
battering everyone.
Yeah. Because if you and Tom lost, the office was
that game. Like, just nothing anyone could do on Pro Evo 6 against me.
Yeah.
You included, and that's why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just that's why we stopped playing, Paul.
Yeah, we never stopped playing. We stopped playing in the mornings because it was ruining the working environments for the rest of the day. It meant either you and Tom were gloating, or you and Tom couldn't function until we played another game and got the win. So yeah, it's the competitiveness is a dangerous game. But yeah, I nearly smacked it by 100 points in Scrabble last night. Honestly, mate, I was brutal. I was putting like horrible, cheap. I was playing like 3-letter words just to make sure that I was taking the big spaces out of the game and all that kind of thing.
You've got to do if you want to win at Scrabble, mate.
Yeah.
It's the way you've got to play the game, unfortunately, and it's sly, and you end up with crappy words and a board that doesn't reach the corners because you're just half-arsing it. But that's the way it is. If you want to win, you've got to go out there, and it's basically the Scrabble equivalent of fucking, those cricketers who just go and dink it fucking 1 yard and just keep on going in a 5-over game, and you're like, this is so boring. but I know you're gonna win, so I'm all in on it. Like,
you could have like your night watchman coming in and just seeing it out for you. Yeah, just get to the end of the day, fine. Or those guys who amass these incredible careers, but they never come close to the run totals. They've just got like records for how long they've been at bat for. Like, yeah, absolutely, yeah, that's true, absolutely true. But there's a number of games, a number of things that my wife is much better than me at, and it's normally Scrabble because she is far more switched on. But I don't know what it was. I'd had a few bevies, and all my emotions had been drowned out by a few beers. Which is always a good way to do. If you want to feel less, drink more. Is a good way to deal with life.
I've been practicing that for years.
Yeah, I did. I absolutely took her to school, and which is a shame because. She's in a bit not a great way because obviously she's handling the kids full time, and as a teacher, we talked about this last week, she's having to step back into that world pretty soon as well, which is crap. But I probably should have let her out the win because she probably needed it. It was a bit like we did Footy Manager this week, and we lost the game, and I could see your life unraveling around you.
1 minute, I think it's 1 hour and 14 minutes in. Because someone put a comment and just went, Footy Manager and time coded it, right? And I went back and I was like, let's have a look. And I go, Footy Manager fuck's sake. So you're not on screen. I think you're getting changed. And I'm just there in my own little world, shaking my head, dead pissed off. Like, we had one loss and a one draw. And my blood was boiling, mate.
Yeah. It's what effectively we've discovered, because I had this because I've been doing the Pro Evo streams as well. Effectively, I've managed to replace the thing I hate most about football in my life, and that is that your happiness is now hinged upon something that's out of your control. And look, it's a computer game, so it's technically more within our control than it's ever been, but when you're not brilliant at that computer game, it's still further than out of your reach, and that's even more frustrating when it's down to you and you make a mistake and you have literally decided by your inability to press 3 buttons or a stupid decision you've made to make a change on something. Like, I played a game before, Chris, when I finally figured out a formula that worked for me, and instead of going with that same team again, I accidentally pressed start match same time on and just went straight through to the game. What you want to do is, I understand why people break control pads, because it's not the game's fault, it's our own innate stupidity that we have to blame in these situations. And the fact that we do choose to put ourselves as 37-year-old men who have now become basically full-time gamers.
Yeah, let me see if I've got one of the comments, because I thought it was absolutely brilliant from it. I'll just see if I can find it here now for you. Honestly, because Robin walked in, didn't she?
Yeah.
Towards the end and started going on about a bike ride or something, and she wanted a bike ride, and let me see what this fella said. Oh, come on, where are you? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong video. That's
brilliant.
Probably a problem.
Oh, Phil. It's as good a time as anyone to remind anyone that we've got a Patreon. Hey everyone, we have got a Patreon, patreon.com/Maych Help support the podcast in trying times and get extra bonus content as well. We're going to be recording our very first Q&A. The plan, as it stands, is to do it live. So people who are members of our Patreon get to come into the room with us, whether it's via Discord or Zoom or whatever we figure out, and have a live Q&A with us on the spot there and then. You get to be in the room, you get to ask the questions, we answer them, we have a bit of a hangout, maybe have a little bit of a bevy or whatever. It's going to be a good laugh. You can get involved, and the only way to get involved with that is to go to patreon.com/Maych and sign up. There's a whole host of other little bits and pieces of benefits as well, like getting your name in the end credits of this podcast, getting some shout outs and that kind of stuff. But yeah, we've got the Q&A coming up. We're very excited about it, and you can be a part of it by going to patreon.com/Maych. Right, okay, we're back. There we go. A perfect opportune moment to stick an advert in. Chris has found what he needs to. It's been 20 minutes. It's fine. Go on.
So, GSP Video said, daughter, I want you to do a bike ride. Chris, I can't. I'm dressed up to do a fake press conference for a computer game.
Honestly, in years to come, you realise these are the formative years of your children, and there's bits of this that they're going to remember in years to come, and they're going to have this memory of this spell of their time, their life, where they weren't allowed to go to school. Instead, they had to sit at home with their dad, who locked himself in this teeny tiny little room surrounded by computers and put a suit jacket and shirt on over his trackies or shorts.
And then they'll be like that, you know, Scouse only wears a suit in a fucking in a courtroom, and they'll be like, shut up, my dad wears a suit to go and play a computer game, and they'll be like, oh dear God.
We need to get you a briefcase.
The only time I ever wear a suit.
Yeah, weddings and Football Manager.
And the only reason I actually wear a suit in the series is because I was wearing a suit jacket for the Charity Shield.
Yeah.
Because I had to get dressed up smart for that, so I went, you know, continuity.
Yeah.
Went with the suit jacket for that episode, and I've stuck in that jacket ever since.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. We were saying, because I bought you a new hat, but I bought it before you went full in on Suit Manager. Well, I think some of it stemmed back to the avatar creation, because you said, you know, where's the tracksuits look crap, so you didn't want to be.
Mate. They look like Donnays, you know what I mean? And no one from Liverpool's wearing a Donnay tracksuit. And if you're wearing a Donnay tracksuit from this, strip off, take it off, light it up, put it in the bin. Obviously, after it's gone out.
Yeah, sad. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry. I mean, if it's all you can afford, then I'm sorry. I'm sorry that that's what it is. Go to the charity shop around Liverpool. You get tons of Adidas trackies when they're back open again. Chris, how have you been? How's your week been?
Pretty difficult, all told. But what?
Yeah, it's been pretty difficult.
It has.
Yeah, it's been a living hell.
That's basically it. But that's some really good news today. So, I don't know whether you remember my cousin Janaea.
The name rings a bell.
So, she used to live with us when we were teenagers. And we've met her a few times in the Crazy House over the years, going back 15 years or whatever. And I've been trying to... I tried to reconnect with her a few years ago, and she got off Facebook and all that type of stuff. And that's it. I'd not really thought any more of it. And then I was thinking about her a couple of months ago. I was like, I'd love to get back in touch with Janaea and Michael, see where they're up to and stuff. And I did a video on my channel, and I just did a rating video, and someone sent a photograph of there with the hair, and some fella, Rob, I think his name was, I can't remember. Oh, Chris Johns, his name was. And he sent a picture of his hair, and his big pink hair, and I just ripped the shit out of it, to be honest with you. And I put it up, and I emailed him, said, listen, video goes live, might owe you an apology, thanks for sending that in. He's like, oh, that's cool, man, I sent it in for a laugh anyway, blah, blah, blah. And then he emailed me back and said, random one, mate of mine, Yoli, said, are you Janaea's cousin? And I was like, oh yeah, I am. I've been thinking about it. I'd love to get back in touch. Could you pass it on? So I've not looked at that email address for a while, because I've not done a Page at Rates video. So I looked in there, and he emailed me back like a couple of weeks ago and got my cousin's phone number for me. So I texted her today, this afternoon, and I texted her, and then we've just been sending photos and messaging each other all afternoon. Like, so it's been like, she's my cousin, but we just lost contact with her completely. I've probably not had a conversation with her in 15 years, probably 17 years, maybe when we were going to the Crazy House all the time. So, and then she sent photos of her kids over, and I was sending photos of my kids and stuff like that. So I've actually come into this in a really belter mood, because of that, like, because I'm like, all right, well, so we'll, you know, hopefully we'll meet up and stuff when all this shite's over and that, and I got to see her, she's not changed at all. So yeah, just a really like positive little lockdown story.
That's boss, that, isn't it?
From me for a change.
Yeah, for once. We're normally elbow deep in human shit at this point on the podcast as we pile through all that kind of stuff. We're in a weird. It's such a weird environment. The whole thing. I mean, look, it goes without saying that the lockdown's just been mad. It's the word I've used most in the last 2 months is the word mad. And you know, I've been saying for a couple of weeks, I think everyone's been kind of building up to this point where they're kind of done with it or whatever. We've generally all reached. I think everyone's kind of reached their own version of breaking points, and what have you. But also, that whole. You were talking about it this weekend, and we both did this. Is the loosening of the lockdown, the very minute changes they made to the stuff that we're allowed to do, is because me and Charlie are talking about life, and we're talking about the problems and stresses that we're facing, a combination of work and all the things that come around it, and it's mad because we've been in plenty of stressful situations before. We've both been through counselling at times. We've been through stress and anxiety. We've been through all these things, but more often than not, we've worked the pattern of play and how you best support each other in these things. And the maddest thing is that the quick answer to most problems, particularly as a parent, the simplest answer, Chris, is just let the kids go and stay at the grandparents for a couple of days, and you'll find you're pretty much on an even keel after that fact. So we're now dealing with a set of problems to which there are no longer the solutions. I'm having the chats and going, well, we can't do
Nothing we can do.
Yeah, we can't. What can you do?
Nothing we can do.
Yeah, nothing you can do. You look at it. It's a bizarre world to be in a situation. This sounds stupid. People might be going, duh, it's been like this for 2 months. But I feel it more pressingly, more exacerbated than ever at the moment. Of when you're looking down another month and thinking, what's gonna change? What's gonna be?
I mean, for me, that's where it comes back to, doesn't it? The weekend and stuff. And I'm sure a lot of people who've watched this will have done this. And I'm sure it's a minority that haven't. But if you followed the lockdown rules strictly, that was a big difference last weekend. It was the first time for me where I actually felt I had the weekend. We went to Chilly Woods on Saturday, had a boss little walk around there. The kids loved that and all that. And then we went out and we drove out to Limdam, which is only like 15 minutes away. Had a little walk around the lake, somewhere we'd never been before. But I wanted to go somewhere because I've been sat inside and everyone's in the same boat. We're all cooped up, and all I want to do is get out. Yeah. Get out as far as I can from where I know and people I've seen and houses I've seen, and the walk around the block. And I just want to go somewhere new. I want to go up to the fucking Dales or the lakes, and I just want to do a YMCA holiday. I just want to go walking for a couple of days or something mad like that. Doesn't need to be. I don't want to go and sit off in a beach. I don't want to do that. I just want to go and walk and see things I've not seen before. So that was like where the Limdam thing came from. It was dead easy little walk for the kids. It was like 1.5 kilometers. Took us an hour and a half because we've got 2 kids in tow, but it was quiet. There was a fucking ice cream van there, which I managed to avoid, but the kids were there. I had like lollipops in my pocket like a fucking nonce, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. I know how to keep the kids quiet. You get a good 15 minutes of quietness out of a fucking chupa chup. You do, don't you? Yeah. Fucking brilliant. So I'm like waiting. I was like, look, I've got a surprise for you.
You've effectively been forced. You've been forced to go to the paedophile's handbook in order to pick up tips and techniques for keeping your kids quiet.
It works. Yeah, come on, when we come in the car and I'll give you a lollipop. Straight on there, and then I'm like, boom, I've got about 15-20 minute drive. That lollipop should last the entire journey. Here's the fucking tablet that I didn't tell you we had on the way here. There's that. Here's your fucking Bluetooth headphones. Smash that on. Eat your lollipop. Bliss. Yeah. And that was it. That was my ride home. And I sorted myself out. We got home. And I was like, get in the fucking garden. Boss. I had a little beer. Perfect weekend.
I know. Honestly, we went to Coldish Park, and I've gone twice in a few days. There I'd gone. So I'd taken the kids myself, and I'd gone back to where we used to play footy and stuff like that. And it's mad because anyone who's been to Coldstones Park will know it's just a boss park. But for us, it was so significant because it was over the road from Mum and Dad's house growing up. I lived in that park for so long, and every single nook and cranny of that park has like a nostalgia value to me. I could walk around. I could spend an entire day in that park and recount a story for every tree and for every space of land and every little undercover and every little, literally that was just mad, just walking around in this like pure nostalgia fest, and it gave me a real emotional boost to do it because it's those things, isn't it, where you're reminded. And one conversation about this week is how mad it's going to be when we're finally all let loose again, and because everyone's going to be ticking the bucket lists off like mad. But then how long is it going to take us for all to go full circle and just get back to exactly what we were beforehand? But it does make you think, doesn't it, when you're getting out again and you're expanding your boundaries, and obviously whether you're going to somewhere new or whether you're going to somewhere old, how it gives you that lift. It just gives you that lift that you need, because I think you need to dream of better. in times like this. You kind of need something that makes you think that there's a degree of normality. And it was nice to go. It's nice. I mean, I don't know how quiet Lynn was, but like obviously College Park was quite busy. But knowing as well that it's allowed to be busy, made me feel loads more relaxed about it. It was the first time I've been out for longer than an hour. It's the first time I've been out somewhere other than coming to the office or going to the park that's 2 minutes walk away from ours, and and also being able to go out and not feel the need to bore eye holes into the side of everyone's head who doesn't look moderately related to one another. As it did feel like the first steps towards normality, which is crazy because you pay a bit more attention to me to this than I do. But nothing's really changed in the world, but it's about getting the right mentality for it more than anything, I guess.
That's it. And listen, there's loads of things that this government have done bad, but I couldn't have thought of better timing for the relaxation from a mental health point of view. For me personally, I disagree with the timing of it, all told, because I don't think it's safe quite yet and all that type of stuff. But mentally, I was absolutely at breaking point. So needed that more than anything. And I think, when you think back, and I'm not backing the government up here, but when you think back to, they wanted to leave the lockdown for as late as possible, and they've opened it earlier than people. From a mental health standpoint, I think that's really worked for me. Because I'm not sure how I would have been had we gone into it earlier and relaxed it later. Like, throw another month on of that hardcore lockdown, and I'd have been broken. I'd have been absolutely broken. Like, there's times when the kids are in here with me. Now, I'm really lucky. We've got quite a big house and all that type of stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, why are we all within a foot and a half of each other? Fuck's sakes. Can you just get out of me fucking space? Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, and you've been on the phone with us and whatever, where they're just screaming, playing a game next to me, and my head is just like, do you remember that Harry Enfield sketch where they filled a woman's brain up?
No. It sounds amazing.
Right, so there's Harry Enfield sketch where they fill the man's brain up and it just fills up naturally. And then the woman's brain, it just scatters all over the place like a kid's fucking drawn on it. That's what my head has felt like whenever I'm in the room with the family at the moment. It's just too much. It's a sensory overload. It's loud. It's visual. It's fucking. You can smell sweets. I can taste my bitterness. It is everything. It is a pure sensory overload. So for me, like, I was at breaking point. So I'm made up that it's changed it in that regard because I needed it too. Like,
but that's the thing, and it's worth. And I'm sure there's people who are home listening and watching who are in a similar situation. Like, everyone's come to that to varying degrees and stuff, because you're right. And what happens is, and you explained it to me, and obviously my wife just said similar things, everyone's fuse is just getting shorter and shorter. And the problem is, of course, is that you've got that situation where you're trying to get on with your life, and you're in a room with your kids, and when you spend that much time with your kids, people who haven't got kids are not going to get this. So I don't want to feel like we slaughter the fact of having children. I love having kids. I love having my kids. They're the best thing in my entire life. I have more good times with them than I do have bad times with them. But you forget that they're going through lockdown as well. And so it's not just your own fuse that's short. Is that their fuses are short. Like, my kids are so much quicker to cry over nothing at this point. But what happens as a parent, your first reaction is to think, am I doing this? Is this my fault? Are they being pricks because I'm a prick? And and you said it, I've had it myself. I'm raising my voice in situations that it would never come close to touching me normally, but all of a sudden it just takes. I equate it to being like we're all like houses of cards at the moment. And it looks all right, and you can build it up, but it takes very little to knock it down. And when it goes, you then try building another house of cards once you've just had a full house of cards knocked down. You're not doing it, are you? Your motivation to do it's not there, your stamina to do it, all that kind of stuff. And that's what it's kind of feeling like at the moment. Everything feels like it's getting on top, and all these little things have a knock-on effect. But then you're looking at your kids and thinking, I don't really think of it from their perspective. Their heads must be done in. They just don't have the ability to express it, because kids adapt much quicker and much easier, and with less tangible fuss. They don't moan about it as much as we do, because we're grown-ups and we're used to moaning about stuff. But when you look at them and you start to realise, like, I've had you on. I got lost in doing something. You've been on you've been watching the telly for 3 hours, and now when I ask you to come and do something else, you lose your head. Well, of course you do. If I get lost in something like that for that amount of time, my head goes just as quickly, and it's my
R2 celebrated getting in the car the other day.
Yeah.
Like Saturday, they celebrated. They was like, yeah, where are we going? It didn't matter to them. I was like, we're going in the woods, and then you should have seen it when I told them they were going in the woods and that. Like, do it. But you're right. And like, we're all right in that. Lyra had only just started nursery, so she started nursery in January. So I don't know, was it early March? Was it something like the 8th of March or something like that? So she had 2 months. So it's just a little bit more. Not back to normal because she's not seeing the grandparents, and the grandparents were kind enough to look after them 4 days a week for us. Yeah. So it's strange in that regard. But Robin's at the point where she's missing her mates. Yeah. And like, I'm a fucking terrible person in that I don't have any of her mates' mum's numbers or nothing anyway. Yeah. I don't have any of them on Facebook. Dropping off at school is that for me. I don't stand around and have a natter or whatever and picking up's exactly the same. So for me, I don't have any way where I can just pick up a fucking phone and go, yeah, we'll just talk to Felicity for a bit. Yeah. Or one of her other mates or something like that. So I feel bad in that regard because I should do more for her, and I will do when we move out of this. But yeah, it is sly on the minute.
But they're the problem. But they're the other problems as well, is that you're managing yourself. And that's hard. Like, just trying to keep yourself above water is a very difficult thing to do. And then, in addition to that, you're managing your partner's mental health, and you're managing your kids, and then all the bits and pieces that need to get done. And when you're not feeling good, plans are the first thing that go out the window. But plans is what we all need. Like, I'm not, me, I'm not keen on pattern and repetition and all that. But everyone needs a bit of structure. But they're the things that go out the window. And I like you say about the kids and the mates. We turned around today and we're like, Jack has had a couple of Zoom calls with his mates, and I saw a tweet from Steve McInerney, who's a Steam company, who's a mate of ours, and he nailed it. And he said about like Zoom calls. He's like, you always feel dead like annoyed in the build up to them, like, oh god, I've got to organise this. This is going to be a bit shit and blah blah blah. But you'd always end up feeling better for them off the back of it, because there's just being able to talk to different people and being able to do bits and pieces. It's slightly less prevalent for us, I think, because we're still doing videos and we're still doing this and Skyping people or whatever. But when you haven't seen it, we had one Zoom call with our family the week, and it was there was no structure to it. It was carnage. It wasn't particularly entertaining, but there was just something to seeing all the family's faces and having a couple of laughs that made you come off the back of it. And you realise that as a parent, it's your job to sort this stuff out. And and again, it sounds blindingly obvious, but like, all of a sudden, these are not issues that we've ever had to face before, because normally they go off for 7 hours a day, 8 hours a day, and spend all the time in the world with these. They get all the exercise they're ever going to need. You never think about it. We all wondered why we got to university age and got fat, and it's because we weren't running around on a fucking yard for an hour and a half every single day. These are all these things that need to be considered all of a sudden, and we're having to consider them at the same time as also trying to make sure that we me and Charlie talked about the idea of moping. The amount of time, if I lie down now, I'm done. To finding the motivation to get myself up from horizontal is just becoming increasingly difficult. If I'm up and about, I'm fine. But if you ever stop, and the second you get comfortable, and if heaven forbid you should not be bothered for 5 minutes in that time, then getting yourself up after that 5 minutes becomes fucking impossible. It's just horrible. It's horrible that we have to have all these additional thoughts. So if anyone's got any tips actually on how they're coping and stuff, not in a gloaty way, because for God's sake, stick that in the fucking bin. I don't need someone telling me that they're handling homeschool perfectly. If you do, I just need you to I could probably do with you going away. But yeah, I actually...
But genuinely, one for me then, because I do feel like it's made a massive difference to me today, reconnect with someone. Just go out there and just reconnect with someone, because everyone's got them. I've got lads I used to work with over the years that became like your fucking best mate for fucking a few months at a time, until one of you left that job, or you'd be in each other's pockets after work and all that type of stuff. You'd go for beers with them, and in every sort of job, in every sort of industry, I've always had one or two people that you've got on really well with, and yet now I don't see any of them. You know, I find it hard enough in real life pre-COVID to see the 7 fucking friends that, you know, I still actually speak to, you know, and text and all that type of stuff. So go out, reconnect with someone and fucking see if that makes you feel a little bit better.
No, it's true. Me and my cousin started playing, Neil started playing online together on just like one evening a week, and it's funny because we you don't realise this. The problem with, I've discovered, it's just a flip to this. The problem with downtime, so the problem with getting an hour to yourself or getting 2 hours to yourself and doing something fun for yourself is that it's like having a packet of crisps when you're hungry. It just makes, and you think, oh, this will tide me over. It doesn't tide you over. It just makes you realise how badly you need it and how much more of it you actually need.
What the fuck? Like fucking what's it? It's 16.5 gram packets. What the fuck's that gonna do against anything? You know, it's not gonna stop it, is it, in any way, shape or form? What's that? What's 16.5 gram that's near me? Nothing, because it's all heavier than 16.5 gram.
Yeah.
A bag of crisps, a normal bag of ready salted Walkers or whatever, 30 grams. Yeah. What's that going to do? Yeah. That's about 6 grains of fucking rice. Yeah. You idiot.
Yeah. But this is the thing, innit? It's that, it's like the whetting of the appetite thing. It's been helpful, but it also, you've got to kind of like, you got to take what you can and enjoy what you can along the way. So we were playing Rocket League and we played Fortnite as a duo. I've never really played Fortnite before, and it's funny because there'll be some people who are watching this or listening, we immediately going, oh, Fortnite, because it's gone full circle now, where it was dead cool and now it's considered really uncool, and it's a thing that only kids go on. Oh my God, as a duo, using our military tactics, we kicked the shit out of what I can only imagine was so many 13-year-olds at 10 o'clock last Thursday night. Team Maych just fucking climbed to the top of the hill and took on all comers. And it was great, but it was like just having those, and he was saying to me like things like that, they're normally a black hole because there's no end. You die, just jump straight into a new game, start again, and it's a black hole for time. There's not necessarily an achievement to it, but really, just think for me, it felt like a massive achievement of just getting together with someone, having a bit of a chat, having a laugh, having a bevy, and actually getting to actually rack our first ever Fortnite win up. Felt like a massive win, and winning at Rocket League, where I am terrible at Rocket League, genuinely terrible, but like loads of fun trying to just. It's just not, as you say, it's nice to connect with people because we can't. So yeah, finding little tips and cheats and all that along the way has been just about like the water level is here on me. It's been a bit higher on you in the last week or so. But yeah, that's what I've kind of needed to get through. Hey everyone, mate, here just a quick word from our sponsors today, who are threadsforreds.com, the finest Liverpool clubber on the face of planet Earth today, not just in terms of design work, but also in terms of the quality of the garments that they have as well. So much of the stuff that you see online, on Twitter, everyone seems to be doing Liverpool t-shirts and football related t-shirts and stuff, but so many of them are just that really cheap and cheerful kind of stuff. We call it disposable clothing, the kind of stuff that you'd pick up in Primark and chuck away after a few washes. The stuff that they're using is the best of the best, truly premium. And moreover, I need to highlight, because we now know Liverpool are going to be winning the league title, whether it's points per game or games behind closed doors, that the "and now you're going to believe us" t-shirt is once again available. Get ready for a rather more subdued than we would expect, but nevertheless big party, if only in our minds and houses, for Liverpool lifting number 19 with your "and now you're gonna believe us" t-shirt, which we can now wear with pride, fee and free, from fear that it's going to be stolen away from us by the Null and Void crew. Head to threadsforreds.com, pick up your t-shirts, get yourself kitted out for the summer, and yeah, thanks very much to them for sponsoring the podcast. I can't remember what it was. You said to me earlier in the week, I've got this thing, I'm going to talk about it on the podcast this week. Can you remember what it was?
No fucking idea. No idea. Did I text you it or did I say it?
I think you just said it. I think you said it. You had something like, I'm definitely going to be talking about that on the podcast this week.
No idea, mate. None whatsoever.
Never mind.
I can check. Yeah.
Shall we? We've been talking a little bit about the Bundesliga in the last few weeks. It's back. We both dedicated some time towards watching it at the weekend. It's footy's mad, innit? Like, I don't think I can use the Bundesliga as a genuine barometer for how I'm going to feel about the Premier League returning. I know that I was happy to see...
How many games did you watch?
I watched 2.
I watched 1.
Yeah.
That was enough.
Yeah.
I thought it was wank.
Really?
You know. And yeah, and I was speaking about this on one of the Redmen shows this week, Paul, and it's just like, I can already see it. I can already see how Twitter's reacted to it, and I just want to get it out there that I'm not arsed. And I don't want to play into either side. You've got loads of people shouting, you know, football without fans is not, I agree with. You got loads of people shouting, you don't appreciate the art of football. I think, from my point of view, I think I can appreciate the art of football without fans. But the fact of the matter is, why, as soon as one game came back, did Footy Twitter break into again? Why? Like, it was 10 minutes into one game, and factions and sides and lines were drawn, and, you know, you can't appreciate the art of football. It's nothing without the fucking fans. I fucking told you, you're not a real football fan. You can't do it. And I'm like, oh my God, it started. Oh my God, it started again. And here's the thing. Just because you like or don't like something doesn't matter, and you can't help whether you like or you dislike something. I really like the stats, the statistical side. I'll watch games with no sound on when the kids are going to sleep and all that type of stuff. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
As a package, that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know whether it was the Bundesliga. I don't know whether it's because I don't know any of the players, or don't give a shit, or it felt really slow, or it felt like a pre-season, or there was no weight to anything because you couldn't tell how important it was because there was no fans to tell you. Could have been watching the Champions League final, and with no fans, crap. You can't tell how big a game it is without fans, whether you're listening to them or you're seeing them or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm not asked whether you think it's good or bad. Me personally, I am old enough and strong-willed enough to not be asked whether anybody thinks I'm a football fan because I don't like it. I don't like it. Didn't like it.
Yeah,
doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, and the reason why that happened is because you put a tweet out saying that you didn't like it, and you activated angry other side Twitter.
But you've got people going, oh, but it's better than nothing. I'm like, did you read the tweet? It says better than nothing at the end, like nearly verbatim.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
and
I'm just saying that's what Twitter's for.
That was my 100%.
I didn't get involved in an argument with people. I put my opinion out there. And then that was it.
Oh, that's where you went wrong.
Yeah, well, there's the issue, isn't it? Like, heaven forbid having a fucking opinion that differs with people. Like, we've had a bit of a chat about it before, but I didn't mind it. It was fine. But what I've realised after the fact, because I've seen a lot of people like, what team are you going to support? Are you going to get into it? I'm not. I'm past that age of having other teams. You've got other teams in other sports, and you have other sports. I don't like. I mean, I have other teams that I quite admire, but I don't follow anything else. But I do really like. I like football because I like what I really liked about it was I enjoyed sitting down. I enjoyed having it be a distraction. I enjoyed having something on. I like knowing that things are live, whether there's fans or not. And I liked on the opposite side to what you're saying. I enjoyed the collectivism of Twitter. To be honest, I like the fact that that everyone was on a subject. Like, it was, you could go on there and there was actually some interesting things. There were opinions. I really enjoyed actually seeing the divide and seeing people's different takes on it. And of course, people get carried away in all walks of it. They always do. But because I was kind of neither, I didn't think it was brilliant. But I didn't hate it. I said to you at the time, to be fair, it was the first 2 hours I've had in 2 months to myself in the house, where on my couch, which I never get anywhere near because one of the kids is on there, or if I'm in the house, I can't just go, I'm getting off for 2 hours to go and sit on my own. That never happened. So the football was at least a nice legitimate reason to do that. I had the Dortmund Schalke game on the telly. I had RB Leipzig on my phone in front of me. I had a pad and pen because I was making notes for the Bundesliga roundup show for Redmen. And I was in my element. I was great because I enjoyed. It's the first time in 2 months where there's actually been something worth doing. You know, they put the ITV showing Euro 96 again. I caught accidentally 5 minutes of England-Scotland, and I was a bit gutted I'd kind of missed that, to be honest, but I never dove into that. Everything else is being manufactured. You know, we've done a few of them. We've done a few watch-along things. And we're doing it with Footy Manager. I've been doing a bit with Pro Evo. We're all trying to replicate that
of a reason for everyone to get together and put their eyes on one thing. So I enjoyed it from that perspective. But as a football spectacle, it's not the same thing. But equally, what I said to you the other day was it as a product worse than normal football? 100%. Was it a better product than the football that was on telly the week before? Yeah, definitely. So if you gave me the choice between zero football and some football to watch, I'll always take the some football to watch, because...
But I'm not sure everyone thinks like that. Because no one else was watching the Belarusian league when that was fucking back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to me, the Bundesliga is that.
Yeah.
You know, if you give me the A-League, I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
Whether it's got a crowd or it doesn't, because it doesn't interest me. And I think what I've realised is the Bundesliga doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
It's just for if it was Spanish footy, if it's right and it didn't have Barcelona or Real Madrid in, I'm kind of bored of Spanish football. I've watched loads of it over the years. Now I went through a spell a few years ago where I wouldn't say I watched a full Bundesliga game a week, but I certainly watched the highlight show at least once a week. No, at least once every 2 weeks, apologies.
Yeah.
And I would watch it fairly regularly. Maybe this has gone back a few more years thinking about it. That's kind of where I think the Bundesliga's gone for me now.
Yeah.
And I really hoped that I'd enjoy it. I went into that weekend and I made the appointment of you, same as you. I'd sorted it. I've got it all. I had it up here. I had a fucking beer in my hand. It was perfect. And I was picking my phone up and I was on Twitter. And for me, I don't do that when I'm into something.
Yeah. See, that was what I did.
Other people enjoy.
Yeah.
Other people enjoy putting Twitter on and having a second screen and all that, and that's fine. That's you. Like, if you enjoy that, I'm not going to ever tell you not to. But if I pick my phone up during something, I'm not enjoying it and I'm not invested. And it's not good enough for me.
Yeah.
And I wanted to enjoy it. And what I'm trying to say is, don't feel like just because somebody on Twitter tells you that you feel like this because of this, or the other side say you feel like this because of this. It's just be you. You're only lying to your fucking self, aren't you? If you don't enjoy something, you don't have to say anything else just to fit in with the crowd. Like,
yeah, it's the emperor's new clothes, isn't it? In that situation, it's like you feel like you have to say it was good, because if you say it was rubbish, it's somehow an indictment of the notion that the Premier League can come back. It's not. The greatest point I make on this, because you're right, like I enjoy football in that regard. I just like having football on. It comforts me because I enjoy looking up, and I can give it as much or little attention as I want. I mean, that Super Sunday, we used to go around to mum and dad's every Sunday for dinner, and we'd have whatever the big game on, we'd stick around and watch the 4 o'clock game. But I'm on Twitter. I like that. I like talking and reacting, and that's one of the things I enjoy about footy. If a game's properly enthralling, great, it's properly enthralling. But it's kind of the point I was making about it, is that I'm not going to adopt the team. I'm not asked enough to adopt the team, so I don't really care. I quite like it's just a nice welcome distraction for me. You know, I don't really watch telly. I don't really watch shows. I don't really have anything that I do on my own in that regard. So I enjoyed it from that. But again, what I've realised is I'm not gonna all of a sudden become a Dortmund fan or a Bayern Munich fan or whatever because of this. But on the flip of it, what I mean is, I can't.
Sorry, Paul. Sorry to interrupt me. I can't fake that investment into something, and I'm not saying people are. I can't just go, I'm just gonna pick a team.
Yeah.
And then pick a team.
How did you choose How did you choose the Vikings as your team for the NFL?
So I'd been watching the NFL. Like, first of all, I remember watching it on my dad's knee when it was like around the 85 Bears and that. And I had a Bears shirt when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I loved that shirt. I wore it fucking everywhere. And then the Dallas Cowboys became massive. I think they won like 92 to 95. They won 3 Super Bowls or something like that in that era. Mm-hmm. And then I realised at that stage I was like 11, 12, and I was like, oh, these are the Man United of fucking the NFL. So I wanted to actively move away from them because they were the dominating team and they had all the fucking money and the worst owner and all that type of stuff. And I very much made a conscious decision to leave that. And then I just watched it a bit like a little bit, and I don't think it was on telly much in those sort of latter 90s years. And I got a whiff of Randy Moss coming out of college, and I was like, oh well, I need a team. I'm getting back into it. It's like 98, so we're like 16 at this point. I'm staying up late to watch it and stuff like that. And I was just like, I'll just go with whatever fucking team he goes to. And that was it. And he was a boss, and he was amazing in that rookie season and stuff. And I was like, this is perfect for me. And there's quite a lot of, I found, having just then started supporting it, that there are loads of similarities. Like, you know, my favourite band, like Craig, the lead singer, is from there, who sings about stuff in that city. Which is mad, because my favourite American sports team and my favourite fucking band basically come from the same place, which is just a little bit random. So now I just feel like a little bit of a connection there for some reason that's grown. And I can't tell you what I felt like the first couple of years watching it, because I can't remember. You know, and there would be times when I'd still watch every game, and it probably wasn't until I bought Game Pass maybe 3 years ago when I watched every Vikings game in season, and I have done ever since, and that made a massive difference to me, because now I can't watch as many games of the NFL anymore, because I'm too emotionally invested in that one team that there's too much. I have that, like, you watch Man United versus Chelsea, and it's not like I'm enjoying this as a spectacle. I'm now wanting one team to lose because that might affect mine. And that's when I realised, shit, I'm a proper fan now. And that was only about 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think the on the other side of things, like, I've always had a casual liking of various things. Like, you know, when I was 17, 18, 19, you know, your late teens, early 20s, when you've got your real first opinions blooding in, and it's very easy to die on a number of hills to make a point, just to make a point's sake. I used to love, you know me, I used to love a good argument at that point, and I could have made a case for how much I loved X, Y, and Z. I'd have picked me teams, I'd have had sports teams that I was more into, and I just don't have that anymore. You know what I mean? So, like, when I watch the Bundesliga, no, don't get me wrong, Chris, if they tell me all of a sudden now that the Premier League's not going to come back, and it's not going to come back till like September, and the Bundesliga is going to be here for a stretch of that might change. Like, in watching some more Bundesliga, I might find a particular affinity with the team or whatever. I don't think I will, but I might, because I like footy that much. I will go with whatever football's there for me to watch ultimately. But yeah, the idea that I think you need something there. You know it. It's like
not a tap that can be switched on.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work like that, and you can't trick yourself. I remember watching a game of American footy. I won't talk too much about the game. A few years ago, and it was two teams that I didn't support, and I didn't realise I actually liked one of the teams. Because I fucking celebrated it. And that was the first point when they scored that I realised that I was actually supporting them in that game. And it's a weird thing. Sometimes you go into a football game and you go into a Premier League game, you know, because you've been built up for the last however old you are, many years, and how many years you've been a football fan, you know how you feel about a team. You know when Burnley play fucking Bournemouth, which one you're going to go for and why. You can't, like, and it might be just as simple as, Bournemouth go ahead of Everton here. That might be all you need to go into that game, or I like Eddie Howe or something like that. It was a really eye-opening thing, because I went in not knowing I liked the team and then liked it. And I was fucking up, and I was like, oh shit, I caught myself. I was like, you didn't think you... I was like, almost had a conversation in my head, like, what are you celebrating this for? I've got no idea. Clearly, I fucking liked them. And it was a really weird thing, but in footy, that doesn't happen for me. I know before I go in who I want to win and who I don't, because of everything that we've gone through as fans.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Have you ever had anything like that?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, to be fair, probably like when you consider like lower league stuff maybe, or mad FA Cup games and all that kind of stuff, maybe you get bits and pieces like that, like, or I guess the little bits and times I've had watching other sports. Like, the question I posed a couple of weeks ago was talking about the run to the Baseball World Series champions was the Florida Marlins, which I was trying to remember a couple of weeks ago, with Josh Beckett, who was the pitcher, and like just got swept up in their run, and fell for them for a spell of time. But you know, it's I suppose it's mad. I have it because I like all sports, but not enough to. I would never. It's like having a wide group of friends, but there's not many I would actively choose to go and spend my one-on-one time with. Is kind of my relationship to other sports. The Olympics is a good example of that for me. Like, I don't really follow athletic or the European Championships or that kind of stuff in those regards, you know, in athletics. When you find yourself swept up in the moments of sport and brilliance and stuff, that's the one thing that's lost with the Bundesliga, I think, and I think it makes it harder to connect in that way. You've now got to do your research. So the people who've all chosen Union Berlin as their side have done it because they've read up on this story and they've read up on this and that, and that's fair. Listen, that's as good a reason as any to get behind a football team. If you feel like a football team supports your ethos and all that kind of stuff, that's great. But I would find it easy to get on board with them if I watched them play. If they played that Bayern Munich game at the weekend with a full house, and you could see them banging on the walls, you know, and getting behind. Yeah. I might have gone, yeah, that's it for me, because that'd ignite something in me. Whereas I look at it a bit. I'm looking at the Bundesliga stuff quite cold and quite objectively, and saying, like, James Orcott was like, I found my team, and I was like, James, do yourself a favour. You support QPR, go and support the team that's going to win the Bundesliga. If you're going to do it, if you're going to choose, go and choose the team that's going to win. So at least you get to understand what that feels like, because it seems bonkers to me. The Toffee TV lads are talking about who they're going to be supporting. I think they're back in Dortmund just because they've been to there before, like, which is fair. But like, going back, you might as well, if you're gonna be an armchair fan, and you're not gonna be, it's only gonna be a casual following, you might as well support Bayern Munich or Dortmund.
That's it. I mean, everything you've said, and add this to it. When you're looking at a team and you go, all right, I've decided I'm gonna do this for whatever reason, and then there's no atmosphere and there's nothing, and they're just a bit wank.
Yeah.
I'd go, I'll just change my mind here.
Yeah.
It don't matter to me.
No,
I genuinely have supported you for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I can see that you're goddamn terrible, and I'm not going to enjoy this. I'm not ready to marry up with you.
Yeah.
Because I can't get emotionally invested in you being shit.
Yeah.
I don't have I've got enough problems in my life right now without having to worry about you and your crap football team on top.
Absolutely. Well, this is it. Like, that atmosphere stuff makes such a massive difference. Like, Charlie doesn't like footy. She's not into footy. She'll play footy. She'll kick a ball around. She enjoys actually playing it, and she enjoys the big games because she enjoys the emotion of the big games. She used to come with us to watch all the Champions League games in the pub back in the day under Benitez, and she loves that. So she'll get sucked in and all that stuff. But when you take that away, some people, football is just that for some people. So people like her, and that's not, most football fans aren't only in it just for the passion. But there's tons that are. Everyone gets different things from footy. There's people who are the football purists, who are the people who will sit at home with the sound off and just watch the football because they're so enamoured with the mechanical movements of what happens on the pitch. Most of us are a bit of all the lot. You've got to have an affinity. You know, it helps if you've got a bit of an affinity and understanding of the teams that are playing. It helps if if you're seeing a good quality of football. You want to have a bit of you want to feel the emotion and the passion of the game itself. So and to have a wider understanding of the context within it's being played. When you take the fans out of it, you are inevitably, no matter what people say, and people can have, as you say, people can have the opinion that it was brilliant. And I'm wary about
lifeless, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. And this is not a debate whether it should or shouldn't come back with the Premier League. It's just that that's such a mega massive part of it. The Germans are mad for the crowd, for the fan culture. You know, we did the roundup show this week, and Chris Williams, journal, made a point of saying, like, because of the 50+1 ownership rule, which means that fans own basically, are majority shareholders of things. They literally own the terraces, so they. Not having fans in is like a personal affront to them. So, like, because they understand how important, whenever we talk about football culture in the last 5 years, German football is held up.
It's held on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's held on a pedestal.
So it's not as good. It's just simply not as good. But does that mean that I'm sat here and this is not an argument against not bringing footy back? Because I don't think whether fans are in there really is a really important part of whether football should come back or not. It should be. I'd love it to be, and I think fans play a mega part in the quality of the product and the all-round experience. But if the Premier League decides to come back, it won't be to do anything to do with the fans in the stands.
No, and nor should it be at this point. I think, you know, that I'd love to have spoken to a German fan at the weekend about his team coming back, because I know for a fact when Liverpool take to that field that it actually won't matter. Like, it won't dull my enjoyment of watching the football team.
Yeah.
Because I have a love for that football team and a love for this football club.
Yeah.
So when I know that, you know, when it comes back, it might not be the same product, it might not look the same, but still my fucking team.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing right now. And of course I want fans to be, of course I want to be into the ground, but I can live with just seeing my football team play football.
This is the key point, is that because you've watched that with no affinity for the teams, and you've not enjoyed the experience of watching the Bundesliga, but you're right, you have no investment in the team, you have no investment in the league. It might as well be a different sport in that regard. Honestly,
it's like watching the Japanese league or the A-League or whatever it is. It doesn't matter to me, it's not on my radar.
Yeah.
So, like, if you'd have told me that the A-League was back this weekend, nobody really would have watched it.
Yeah.
I you know, half the people don't watch the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we're all starved, so everyone gave it a go, and some people liked it and some people didn't, and that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
But it's not my footy.
Well, the point I'm driving at ultimately with it is when Liverpool comes back, that's going to be a completely different kettle of fish, and I can't judge football without fans. You know, the football it's going to be worse, but this notion of, you're right, I'm not bought into it. It's like coming into a film 3/4 of the way in and being expected to think it's an Oscar-winning performance. You know what I mean? I can go in there and I can watch a film with a quarter of it left to go, and I can go, that's a good acting performance, and I can see some good bits of it, but I'm not up to date on the story. The story of football is half of the reason you bought into it anyway. Like, I think if we had to watch a full season of Bundesliga, that might, you know, and you could see the rise and fall, that might help. But the point is, Liverpool are our team. If you're then watching Liverpool play behind closed doors and it's not for you, then fair enough. You know what I mean? But like, I will pay far more attention to a Liverpool game on the telly than I'm ever going to play to a game with Dortmund or Bayern or Leipzig or anything like that. That's going to be the barometer, because it will be better. We will have a better experience just because it's the Premier League, and just because we know what's going on.
Absolutely. I tell you what, I've massively enjoyed, I don't know whether it's because I've been pissed both times, but your Twitch streams and stuff on a Friday night when I've caught them. Now, I've always hated the idea of watching people play computer games. And it dawned on me as you were talking then, why am I enjoying yours? The commentary's fucking brilliant and stuff like that, and your shit, which helps. But I'm invested in you, and I realise that that's what people are. They're not watching people play computer games. They're watching personalities sometimes who are good at computer games or bad or funny or whatever. There's a reason that they're not interested in the fucking game on the screen that they could play themselves. Yeah. They're interested in that person, how they react and all that type of stuff. So I gave it a chance. I tried to watch someone else playing it, and I was like, it's just this is what I thought it was going to be like. I can't. This isn't for me. Yeah. But I'm not invested in that person. Now I understand why. So, in a simple sense, I'm invested in watching you play computer games. There's the story, there's the narrative, that you have we've been messmates for years. I can't go, and I also feel like I'm cheating on you if I'm watching someone else's Twitch.
No, but it's a good point, isn't it? And so, yeah, I think I think there will be people who watch the Bundesliga and felt a real sense of like disappointment. I didn't, because, like, for me, I've spent the last 2 months watching the wrestling, and the wrestling's been fucking abysmal. Like, and not religiously. I mean, I watched Wrestlemania, which they split over 2 nights, and pre-recorded, and I enjoyed it.
Is that so you didn't fall asleep?
Oh no, Chris! It was.
If it had been one show, would you have fallen asleep?
No, I fell asleep both times. It was still being shown like it would have been. So it was still started at 1 o'clock in the morning. Except it was over 2 nights. It was 2-3 hour shows.
Geo fucking locked it for you?
It's live, mate.
Just played it at a normal time. It's not live though, is it? It's pre-recorded.
But it's produced. It's put out live.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Couldn't they have Geo fucking locked it? by territory to put out a normal fucking time for you.
Yeah, but then it's like
yes,
watching
game.
Yes,
is the answer.
Yeah. Well, I could have watched it. I've got the network. I could have watched it on demand at any point. But again, it's that point of I didn't stay up and watch the whole things anyway. I did watch both shows predominantly after the fact. Particularly the second night. I was no way I was staying up for the second night after the shit show that was the first one. But it was fine. But I saw so I've seen all these arguments already. Is my point is that I saw people saying, well, you've got to appreciate it for the wrestling. You've got to appreciate it for the art form. And that was amazing. And it becomes an Emperor's New Clothes because you've either got to think it was brilliant or you've got to say it was shite. There can be no. It's fine. I got a reasonable amount of enjoyment out of it. It killed a couple of hours of my life. It meant I wasn't being bothered by my family for it. Spectacular. That's all I was in it for. And that's kind of my take on Bundesliga. Like wrestling in particular needs the audience because without the audience, it's just a bunch of fellas pretending to fight. Whereas when you put an audience in it, like I've gone back and watched.
I think it might be anyway.
No. But what I mean is, it's more. It transcends what it is because it becomes absorbing when you're watching something. So you watch Rock versus Hulk Hogan in like Wrestlemania 18, I think it was, and you see 50,000 people, and they're looking past each other, and you can feel the audience ramping up, and it becomes kickouts of pins become more real when you can see the looks of shock and disbelief on people's face in the audience. You suspend your disbelief more when there's people who are reacting to it because it's like watching magic. Magic bollocks. Magic is the biggest load of fucking horse shit ever. You ever seen a live magic show? Nah, not for me. Like, because it's bollocks. But when you get the oohs, nahs and the gasps, it helps you get into it all a bit more. So having spent this time watching that and seeing how rubbish wrestling's become as a result of it, and having to find a modicum of appreciation for the good stuff that they do, by comparison, watching an actual sport with two loads of people who are going at it wanting to win, footy, even in a league I don't give a shit about, with 22 players I don't give a shit about, playing on a fucking channel that I don't give a shit about, doing all these things, feels amazing by comparison to me. So yeah, maybe we all need to remember the context of this awful world we're in, and soak it up where we can get it. Yes. Have you got anything you'd like to purge this week?
Do you know what? No, not really. And that in and of itself is what's being purged.
Okay.
Now, don't ask me what I've just purged, because I'm not 100% sure. Okay. But my life is so uninteresting at the moment that I get wound up by, and you've known, the stupidest little things. There's nothing. It's so dull and so uninteresting and so fucking quarantined and fucking bleach clean at the moment. There's just nothing to be asked about anymore, Paul, and that's what's being purged.
There's a lot of people, I think, who are going through life, and you're not this, by the way, but that episode of the Hank Scorpio episode of The Simpsons where Homer gets the new job and they get the brand new boss house and the house cleans itself and Marge goes to do all her jobs and all of a sudden by like 9:30 it's done and she just cracks open a bottle of wine and sits and drinks it because at this point there's no more interest unless you were literally you had to go and fall over a massive piece of concrete in the street to have something to talk about last week. You know what I mean? Because you've done, and that was the only, your walk is never getting more interesting than that now because it's the same walk, you're seeing the same sights, you're seeing the same things, you're doing the same things. We just need more stuff. Like I say, like the highlight of my week has literally been beating my wife on Scrabble. Like, how middle-aged have I become? Genuinely. I was thinking things before about how you're not a fully fledged adult until ... Like,
oh, I've got the best one of this. Go on. You go first.
Mine was until you cut the grass in your back garden and end up fucking ruining a pair of trainees with grass stains because you forgot to change into your mowing the lawn trainees.
Oh, that's a fucking rookie error, that lad.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I wasn't cutting the grass, but I was stood next to it while it happened, which is even worse.
You are not a fully fledged adult until ... Your electrical screwdrivers didn't come out of a Christmas cracker.
Yes. Absolutely nailed it. Yeah, 100% nailed it. Yeah, it's going to be struggle. You're not a fully fledged adult until ... You know that when the boiler stops working, you need to get a screwdriver and turn that little screw underneath it to add more pressure to the boiler. That's a full on.
And on my boiler, knock the fucking gauge because it's half broken.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, 100%. Or in the instance of being in this office, when the hot water stops, you've got to clamber over 14 things, take the assault course to break into the cupboard where it is and turn it off and on. But yeah, and let us know you're not a fully fledged adult until ... in the comments. We'll do some more.
Out of interest, Paul, have you ever bought a set of electrical screwdrivers, or did they come from a crackhead?
They all come from crackers. It's like Chris. honestly, it's like but I purposely buy Christmas crackers that have those things in. I don't buy sick Christmas crackers. I buy Christmas crackers that have got proper metal things in. So we got you get your little screwdriver. We got one of those metal corky things that you go over the top of bottles of prosecco and champagne. We very much like
genius.
Yeah, absolutely. And they, and you negotiate your way around those things. It's all you get a couple of cheap ones. So you get the little red plastic fish because it's not Christmas, not one of them. But let the kids have them in their crackers. If you're not getting a screwdriver, one screwdriver in your house, and then what you do is you pray no one's a prick and pounces on it, or if you do, you then keep your eyes on it and get them drunk and wait till they just take their eyes off it and then secrete it away, and then you box it. We've got a couple of them in our house basically by that method. So yeah, I do it in a roundabout way.
Why it was so why I thought of this at the weekend is I realised all my fucking screwdrivers, my electrical ones, came from fucking Christmas crackers, and they're all crap. And I needed to take something apart that was ridiculously difficult, and it wouldn't do it. And I was like, oh my god! And I went onto Amazon and bought a set of electrical screwdrivers, and that exact thought popped into my head, and I nearly tweeted it.
Yeah.
And what didn't is I actually thought it would bang.
Yeah.
And decided that I can't be dealing with the fucking messages back from this and having to mute that post, so I didn't bother tweeting it. Absolutely. And it's random that then 3 days later you're fucking. You've basically said that exact sentence, and I had it there ready.
There you go. Things like that, absolutely. There must be tons of examples.
I do want to know if that tweet would have banged now, but
yeah,
I do think it would have.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't be arsed dealing with it, because I don't like tweets that bang.
We'll do it off the MXP account. At Maych Pajak on Twitter if you want to get involved with all of that. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'm a man who owns some mad tools. Like I have. This is me in a nutshell, by the way. I realised this the other day when my shed is crap. My shed is just rubbish. I mean, it's not. It's full of toys and footies, which is great. But I thought we used to have we went by my mum and dad's old house by the park, and we went out the other week, and I could see down the side.
Does it infuriate you that their gates are always locked shut?
Yeah, but I can see over them. I didn't go up to them, but from a distance. They've knocked the garage down. And I loved our garage. For start, it was my little fortress of solitude. I could go there and smoke and under a roof, which made a big difference. But I used to I draw and do mad things, but we always used to have loads of tools and loads of bits and pieces. You could make stuff. As a kid, you reach an age where you wanted to make, say the Simpsons episode, to reference Simpsons again, the box derby racer thing. There were bits of wheels and stuff. You could make a fucking shit go-kart in our garage, and I don't have that because I'm not a proper man. I'm not a. You are more this way. You are more with this, but it's only by training. It's only by being. You've had no choice but to pick a lot of this stuff up. I think 10 years ago we were probably on the same level of stuff. When we were working in the tavern, we were both fucking useless. But being at the tavern taught us more self-reliability. But then what happened is my mother-in-law has basically taken over all of those responsibilities in our house. So I've never needed to really do it. But it disappoints me that I don't. If I want to go, I think about I want to make a ramp for me kids' remote control cars, and I'm it sounds like a stupid thing, but I don't have the prerequisite materials just kicking around my house or the tools in which to do it. But what started this point was I own the tools that will open up a Super Nintendo cartridge. I have the tools that will unlock a PS3 so you can clean the fan out the back. I have really stupid, pointless, niche of these things. So I'm not a full blown man. I'm just a man child at heart, really. And it makes me feel sad that I have all those things. But anyway, what I was going to page, headphone wires. I'm 37 years old and I still shove headphones into my pocket. That you jangle them around for 30 seconds and they come out like the kind of knot that would have killed Houdini. I mean, this is it's a cliche. It's a bit of a cliche one. This is like me ranting about pineapple on a pizza, which I will never do because it's fine. But it is baffling. Someone must have done like a scientific study into it and how it's possible for headphones. I think the headphone wires, everyone's so focused on wanting Toy Story to be real. You know, like the idea that when you leave a room, the toys have a life of their own. That we've got this happens in our life. It's headphone wires. The second they are out of line of sight of human eyes, they just go, "Come on, lads." And
coil up like a fucking snake, don't they? They do.
Genuinely.
It's not just headphone wires though, because probably my biggest annoyance this week, and I'm looking right at it now, and I am fuming looking at him, is my XLR lead that I brought home with me. Mm-hmm. Now, if anybody is unfortunate enough to work with an XLR lead, they're like the fucking souped up uncle of the headphone wire, aren't they? Now, you don't have the daily briefing with the headphone wire, so you might not get as pissed off, but an XLR wire that's 5 meters long is hell on earth. And the problem is, when I packed the bag up in a fucking rage when I locked down the studio, I grabbed a 10-meter fucking XLR pole.
That's a lot of
when you text me before and said, "Are you ready to half past?" I went, "Give us till 1:45." It was the XLR lead's fault.
And to your credit, it only took you 7 minutes. So that
because I've got a system now. I hang it up on the back of the door, but somehow from me putting it on the back of the door and it comes off perfect, to putting it on the bed, turning me back, he'd done what you'd said and he fucking looped all in. And I'm like, I only moved you fucking 2 yards from the door to the bed, and just all of a sudden you fucking sorted it.
I feel this because we've both taken the same camera home. I took 2 XLRs because I was going to record something with Charlie, and the mic I took home wasn't working. It's not important. I couldn't get it working, but then I also couldn't get the XLRs out of the sockets on the top of the camera. They're a fucking nightmare at time for no reason whatsoever.
You press the push button.
Oh yeah, mate. Like, thanks. Thanks. But it's worth saying. It is worth saying. But I couldn't get them out, and so I've been helping her film these stories for their school kids. But I've got to the point where I can't get them out, so I've just taken these two big.
Oh God.
Just effectively wrapping them around the camera and the tripod, picking it up, putting it away in the cupboard, and then so they become increasingly more tangled with each and every time that you come to use them. They're all sorted now. We figured out. But I had like.
I was gonna say, I'm so glad they're sorted because I was getting anxious then. My heart was like, I was feeling for you then. Like, that was fucking empathy.
Yeah. Wow.
That was empathy.
Is that the first time you felt that in about 6 weeks?
Yeah, I think it might be.
6 years. It's the first time you felt empathy since you were forced to kill that rat in the backyard of the tavern. It was the day that the Chris Pajak I knew and loved died a little. That's a story. We've done that story somewhere. We'll do that another day. It's not worth bringing that up now because we're in a good mood.
If you want to go and see the aftermath of that, if you just go to YouTube and type in Michael Jordan's speech for Kobe Bryant at his celebration of life, where the one where he's crying and says, and it's titled "A Little Bit of Me Died When Kobe Died." Well, just replace that with Kobe with the rat. And look at Michael and his demeanour and understand that could have been my speech for said rat. You know what I want to purge, actually? Fuck the headphone wires. I want to purge the fact that the Last Dance, I've only got 1 episode and 3/4 of an episode left on it. You're finished with it, aren't you? It's done. It's all done and dusted. And I am gutted that series is over. And it has to be because it's about a story. It's about a particular finite amount of time. But it makes me so sad because that's the only thing that I am religiously watching at the moment, and it's one of the few things that makes me actively switch off from everything else because it's so good and it's so inspirational, and I'm gonna have to find something else. And the problem is I'm gonna have to hit and miss. We've talked about this before. Most television programs are just good enough to waste your time. Like they're just good enough that you'll stick it out of some sort of strange sense of like commitment.
perfect example of this, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is Heroes after series 1 is Smallville. There's these series that aren't very good, but you've been watching them enough that you get stuck into them. And I've got so many of them.
I gave up on Heroes, but the problem with Smallville is it was 10 seasons of dangling a carrot in front of you.
Yeah.
And that wasn't fair because I couldn't give that up because I just wanted to see him don the cape.
Yeah.
But if he'd have told me at the beginning that it was going to last 10 years and
you get 10 seconds of him at a distance doing it, yeah.
I wouldn't have bothered.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't. Was that 100 hours?
I see it's available to I think it's on Amazon Prime, and
you're all right.
Exactly.
She's not that fit that I'm going to sit through that again.
Yeah, I mean, Kirsten Craig and Erica Dance 100% are, but it's not. Yeah, their fitness doesn't outweigh. I just watch porn. It's fine. If I want fit women and an awful scripting, you just watch pornography. You get there quicker as well. Doesn't eat up as much of your time. Smallville. I see that because I see all these series like I've watched Buffy from start to finish loads of times because it's amazing. I've watched Angel start to finish loads of times because it's amazing. I've watched the OC a couple of times. It's amazing. But like things like that, Smallville, I will never go back and rewatch that because it's just not. The good episodes are not worth sticking out the whole thing, which is a shame. But yeah, there's tons of that. So I'm gonna have to go back into the wilderness, Chris, of finding myself a series and try. I'm telling you,
if you're okay with the subtitled thing, Dark is the best series that's been fucking come out in the last few years by a fucking country mile. It's a proper thinker. It's absorbing. Yeah. It's a thriller. It's incredible.
Everyone's recommended Afterlife to me, but the problem is everyone who's recommended it is gone. It's I've been crying with it. I'm saying, nah, you're all right. I don't need to be put through the emotional ringer. And that's why it's weirdly that's the thing about the Last Dance. Why I've enjoyed it so much is, it's a proper story. It's actually interesting because they're real people they're superhuman people. They're almost like scripted people. They've almost been made up because they're so big and so good at what they do. But they're real, and so there's something to be learned from them and their personality traits and how they handle things and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm struggling with dramas at the moment. I'm struggling with anything that requires me to have an emotional investment in stuff because I just can't. I just don't need it. I don't need to be put through the ringer at the moment, and that's why I've got there's a Venn diagram of content that I'm looking for, and The Last Dance fell perfectly in the fucking gap. The toys that made us did it for me as well, and I'm at the point where I've watched all of them that I can be asked to watch. I think I've got one of the movies that made us that nostalgia, where nostalgia meets insight. It's roughly where I'm living at the moment.
Stick with Pornhub, mate.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. As if
you don't need to get emotionally invested in the characters.
As if. Yeah. Sorry, love. Can you just do us a favour and just leave us alone, and please don't come in this room or listen to any of the noises emanating from it for about, well, the more time you can give me, the better, really. If only. Right, should we do the story?
Oh God,
let me kick it off this week.
Okay.
There
was
a
pink.
It's going the same way again. Pig
that
grew
enormous
wings
and
flew
into
dangerous
buildings.
It
died.
The
end.
There we go. Nailed it. Short and sweet this week. There was a
Let's do another one.
Big thing. Grew giant wings, flew into a building and died. Perfect. You can get that on Twitter, I reckon. Okay.
Well, let's do another. I enjoyed that.
Okay. Once
upon
a time. Go on. Well, let's skip through that. Time. What? There.
Under.
They're under.
The.
What?
Water. lived. Once upon a time, there under the... No, it doesn't work. You're right.
There once upon a time, there
Under
a
giant...
bridge.
Wait, I'm so confused. Let's go again. I'm so confused.
Right,
Go on.
fuck it. First word.
Once upon a time.
There
was
a
fucking
stupid
fucking
prime
minister
who
had
stupid
fucking
floppy
fucking
cocks.
these
Appendages
were
often
known
to
the
populace
as
his
come on Tory
manifesto.
I was hoping you were saying party, but anyway, the
Inevitable
happened
and
the
Maych
decided
to
slaughter
them
with
our
penises.
and
They
failed
a
drugs
and
sanity
test
every
single
time
they
opened
their
fucking
fridge.
doors.
They
Died
another
horrible
death.
The
Tories
forgot
who
lives
above
the
sky
what? Forever
and
ever.
amen.
Fine, there we go. What the fucking hell? What the fucking hell? I apologise to everyone who's just lost 2 minutes of their life to that. That was wasn't up. It wasn't the masterpieces that we've been.
It's because I was trying to lead you to
That's where you've
calling
gone
all of
wrong.
his appendages the Tory party, but you didn't, and then it ended up going really badly. And you're right. I should think about single words, and I promise I will do better.
So the pig died. Remember the pig. Remember us at our best. We'll be back with more next week. Do go and subscribe to the Patreon if you want more from us. We're going to be doing our Q&A next week. First time you can get involved with all of that, so you can get your questions. If you're a current existing patrons, then get your questions in to us. You can join the Discord server as well. Always good stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much. We reached 20,000 subscribers in the last week, which is fantastic. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe as well. Drop a like on this video, and if you're listening on podcasting services, give it a 5-star rating. Our absolute legend tier patrons to go get their names featured at the end of this podcast. You can be one of them as well. So stay tuned for that at the end. And that's been great. Thanks very much. Leave us you're a fully grown adult ... in the comments, and we'll see you with more MXP